Welcome to Amateur's Adventures, and welcome back to all the people that watched the first videos here. We want to start by thanking everybody for the amazing support. 413, we went from like 70? 63 to like 100 in like a couple hours after you posted that video, and then now we're up to 400 in a matter of a couple weeks, which is
phenomenal.
Yeah,
that is more than I could have ever expected.
But we want to say thank you for that. But we wanted to get back to what Jay was talking about with his digital setup and just go a little more in depth with some of it. We can start with, what do you want to start with? What's the easiest? What's the first thing you want to start with before we start digging deeper? This is something that's more...
Well, the easiest thing to start with would be probably talking about the Coax and the hamstick that we have up in the tree.
Right.
Should I also get the dipole? Did you want to actually rip apart that wire dipole tonight?
We could do that.
Because I believe I have that. Let me see.
Well, this here that Jay just brought out is his old dipole antenna that was in the tree. We're just curious how it is. How long was it in the tree?
Almost 3 years.
3 years.
Me and K1 VWQ made that.
Yeah. And
you can tell it's rusty.
I was just gonna point out the screws on the bottom here are pretty rusty, and we're curious how the insides look after all these years. So we'll tear that apart in a few.
But I'd say probably if we're gonna go with anything, it'd probably be the Coax. Would probably be the easiest thing to explain right now. And now, I know a lot of people are saying, and this is why I'm doing this follow-up video, a lot of people have been saying, oh, I love your shack. The shack took a lot of work. It's great. I mean, it might look wonderful. It looks amazing. I love lighting. I'm absolutely mind-blown by lighting. But I should have actually paid more attention to my radio setup in here instead of lighting up and illuminating the shack, because there's a few things I did very wrong with my setup, and one of them is I am using 75 ohm satellite coax, and the only reason I'm doing that is because I got it at a huge discount of $50 for 1,000 feet of it.
It's quite heavy.
It really is. And it's underground. We ran it underground to the tree. It's a single run all the way from here to the tree. And that is absolutely killing my transmitting out. And that's why if you look through my logs or if you see me playing radio, you'll see, oh yeah, this guy, I'm throwing him a plus 23, but he gave me a negative 8. And that's the big reason, because 75 ohm is, there's a lot of loss before my signal even touches that antenna. Did you know about coax like that, sir?
I knew you'd get different losses. I didn't know how it would affect your signal and everything.
Yeah, you have to have an ultra low loss for amateur radio.
Right.
Hamstick in the tree.
All right, what about the hamsticks in the tree?
Well, you can watch the video here of us actually replacing this, but this is what was originally in the tree for about 2.5, 3 years. This made it through at least 2 winters. Wow. Wire's really good on this. Give it to Dan for the wire once I can get it apart. I mean, I might just end up cutting it, but it might still be good inside, so. But
it's probably still usable.
Here's what we made, and it seems to be holding up quite well. This is loose. These screws are getting a little loose. It's holding up quite well. See, 10 meter AC1 ABT etched into it.
It's just
Now,
got these wires coming off the ends.
yeah, and you'll see inside you have one on the positive and one on the negative. Just like the hamstick that we put up. And the hamstick, if you watch in the video, you'll see on the hamstick it's the same way. It has a positive lead going to it and a negative lead going to it. Now, I don't know. I don't want to get the good tools, but I might have to because Sutton tells me, oh wow, no.
Is that breaking loose?
That broke loose and I am using my drone
The drone
screwdriver on this. You think the other three will break loose like that? That might be a good sign. Yeah, you want to try?
And all this is just a old Radio Shack enclosure box.
Real screwdriver?
Yeah, you might want a bigger screwdriver for that one.
I'll go get a real screwdriver.
Yeah, that was a lot easier.
Yeah, when you can torque it. Not twerk it, torque it.
I was gonna say, did you say twerk it?
No, I said torque it.
I heard twerk.
I specifically said torque. Now, I did not make that waterproof at all, so... Wow, it looks less shitty than I thought it would in there. I forgot we removed the bell, and that's just a straight wire. That's right, we ended up removing the ballon from this because we were having issues tuning it.
So you just have it going direct to the bottom.
Yep, and
so I'd say if you're gonna put this back into use, maybe replace the rusty bolts
and put a ballon in it.
Yeah.
But as you can see, you have your center pin going to this wire, and then you have your negative lead going to this wire. Just like the hamsticks that are up.
Very simple setup,
now.
very easy to make yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can just see it's just this bolt on the end. You can just put into it to hold onto the wire.
The bolts are just to make sure that you can't
pull the wires out.
Pull the wires out so that you can put strain on it. And it's just a little project box. Deep project box.
Very nice.
So I'm kind of surprised with that. That does not look that bad at all.
No.
I thought that would be absolutely horrible. You can definitely tell moisture has gotten in there.
Oh, sure.
Which means that moisture might have gotten into my coax too.
Yeah.
And that could be why when I was changing the antenna, if you noticed, there was moisture in my coax.
I think an interesting topic is the supply of power that you use to your radio. Oh, he's not plugged directly into the wall of his radio.
Oh, I am not on commercial power by any means. You could say my power's filtered, which is a plus. But, yeah, once I show this off to you, you were absolutely going to laugh. But, yeah, let's show this off. I will let you lead with your phone, sir. And you can go get some shots of this handy-dandy power supply that we have down here. As you can see here, I have battery charger, which if you flip this, turns on that battery charger up there, which is a car smart charger. So when I flip this, now it's charging. You'll see the voltage going up on the inverter. Good luck getting that inverter.
That's hard to get a image on, huh?
Oh, yeah. You have to get right on it. There you go, 12.3 it says. I can barely read it at 12.3. Let's pull this out.
That might be easier. It's too big phone.
Now can you read it?
Yep.
Okay, now for extra power, I have this, which is a 35 amp power supply. Now, this should alone run the radios, but it cannot. There's an issue with it, and for some reason it cannot put out the continuous power required, but I do have it hooked up to the bank of car batteries that I have over here. Hi. So you have my 2 car batteries, and I can turn it on. And if you look at the inverter after I turn that on, you will see that the current's going up ever more, and it'll go up to about 13.8, 13.9 volts. Now, to show you the hit on the power supply that keying up the radio has, let me do this. Go back to 28 megahertz. Back to a frequency I can key up on. And I am going to open up MSHV on my computer. And MSHV will allow you to see what I am doing with the radio. All right, I am going to send a tone right now. I'm going to be calling CQ. The radio is programmed to do 100 watts. It's going to send out the full 100 watts. Let me turn on VOX. That's not 100 watts. I know exactly what I did wrong. My antenna tuner is not on. Let me turn the tuner on. Now you'll get the full 100 watts. I didn't have my antenna tuner on, so it only went to 50 watts. It'll key again. Now it's pushing out 100 watts, and you see it drifting off. It's slowly dropping. And you know why it's slowly dropping, right?
Power.
Look down at the inverter when that keys up. You'll see the inverter recovering now. And as soon as the radio keys, 12.8, radio's keying up. That's where my power falls off. And that's why I couldn't do the full 100 watts in the past. However, since swapping out the antenna, I can do the full 100 watts now on the radio. If I give it maybe 15, 20 minutes, it'll actually ramp up and I'll end up with about 13.6 volts in power, and it can sustain itself through that and it won't need to be recharged. So that's the power supply.
Okay, did you explain why you do that? Why you use the battery system?
No.
Okay, so we'll go to that.
Go ahead and ask me.
Now, why exactly is your power setup using the batteries like this?
Because I am broke. A decent power supply for a radio like this can range upwards $600-700. They are pretty pricey, and at the moment I'm putting most of my money into the actual radios, but now that I'm saying that, it doesn't really make sense to put the money into the radios and not the power supply. So I am going to be investing in a proper power supply. But another good reason to have a battery backup is you do lose commercial power, and amateur radio is meant to be available in an emergency situation. If there is no power, you should still be able to hop on your radio and make contacts, call people on the other side of the world. And that's the main goal of amateur radio, is to keep communication.
Right, easy communication worldwide.
And that's why you do parks on the air and everything, and you just take a battery with you.
Right.
Antenna tuner?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Would you like to know about the antenna tuner that I completely forgot to turn on? And of course, you know the antenna tuner is working because you did see that it actually restricted my power. And it's not the tuner restricting my power, it's the 75 ohm coax that I have running underground that has such a high resistance on it that it's actually feeding back RF into my radio, but it's not able to make it to my radio because it's being stopped at the tuner.
Yeah.
And all the tuner is doing is looking at that 75 ohm wire and going, it's supposed to be 50 ohms. What can I do to make it 50 ohms? And it automatically adjusts everything inside of it to make that wire appear 50 ohms for the radio so the radio can put out its full signal. You might want to get your camera because if you... This is my ancient antenna tuner. The IC AT500. This is a very, very old antenna tuner. It is actually an automatic tuner too, and I can put it in automatic mode. Now it's in auto mode. If I key up my radio, you should hear this audibly spinning to try to adjust my radio. And that got it right up to 100 watts. So it was actually able to auto-tune to 100 watts as well. The only downside with this is if you stop transmitting and then you retransmit, it'll retune again, which you'll hear it tune again. And if you look up at the radio, you'll see an auto-tune, and then it goes back into it. So we'll keep the camera on the radio for a second, and you will see what I mean by the antenna retunes. You will see high SWR come back across the radio as it's retuning. 3, 2, 1. You did see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's what I mean. That's why I don't keep that on auto tune. I have it set to manual. And to manually tune it, you have to adjust all these lugs on the top. There's one for 24 to 28 megahertz, one for 18 to 21, 14, 10, 7. That's all the megahertz across the board for you. And you can put multiple antennas on here. I think you could put up to 4 on this tuner and actually run them all simultaneously as well. I mean, it is a very, very great tuner. I am abusing the hell out of it. It should not be treated like this, but
it works.
It works. And I've been checking it, and it's not overheating or anything. So until I get my 50 ohm wires set up, that is the tuner that I am forced to go with. I had this tuner. You might want to take a shot of this one too. I had this old ATU 100 here. Turn it on. This thing smoked. It did not like the 75 ohm coax, so I'm pretty sure this tuner is fried at this point in time. But that could be another project that we could crack open at some point and see if that's even fixable. But that was like a $75 automatic antenna tuner, and as soon as I ran the 75 ohm coax through it,
blew right out.
It smoked. I am not even kidding you.
Smoke coming from it.
That thing literally sat here like a cigar, just smoking for like 15 minutes. So I'm pretty sure that thing's cooked, but I wasn't too worried about it because it is only run off 5 volts. It's run off USB, so the fact that it was smoking,
a capacitor or something blew or something.
That's all they are inside of a tuner is a bank of inductors and capacitors. That's all it is.
Cool.
So
could be something we could fix.
It's easily something that's fixable.
Right.
So what else do we got on the list?
Well, how have your contacts been since we upgraded the antenna?
They've been really good. The other day, since upgrading the antenna, the other day I actually made 51 contacts in one day. Just playing around. I have all 51 here. So I was able to fill up multiple sheets.
These are all new contacts for you too, weren't they?
And these are all new contacts, yes. None of these were duplicates. And before I couldn't make any new contacts because they were all in the red for me, meaning I've already talked to them, and I don't really like working digital stations more than once. Once I work you once, I'm probably not going to contact you again. Unless it's voice. If it's voice, I'll contact you repeatedly.
Of course.
But yeah, I've been doing great. As you can see, my signal strength has not improved that much, but my receive has. And where I am getting out to has as well. If you want to see some leaving yeah, I was going to say the state, but it'd be the country. You have Argentina, Brazil, you have Uruguay, Alaska. This one I am very proud of because I was trying so hard to get an Alaskan contact, never got one, and I actually got one. My 48th contact that day was, in fact, Alaska. Got Chile, Brazil again.
You're almost done with the 50 states, aren't you?
I am almost done with the 50 states. My 50 states are up there. I only have a couple left. I have 4 states left, I think. But yeah, I was even able to get Hawaii, which was one of the other ones that I was working really hard to get.
Yep.
And I wasn't able to even get that. So the new antenna is definitely helping out tremendously.
Awesome.
And as far as the 50 states go, I can do it right here. Here are states that I'm still going for. So I am still going for Hawaii because he hasn't confirmed me yet. West Virginia, Delaware, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Vermont.
So anybody in that state, let us know if you're trying to reach Massachusetts.
Yeah, if you are right next door to us and you are the one person that happens to live in Vermont that owns a ham radio, yeah, put out a call for KC1ABT. That'd be useful. Or even Maine.
Maine, yep. You'd think that the closest states you've gotten them by now, but
yeah, but then again, it's kind of hard. Even though, believe it or not, a lot of these states are hard to hit. But believe it or not, the closer it is, the harder. But you would not know that from. Let me find. I actually hit one the other day that was in Connecticut here, and I probably got the weakest signal report I've gotten from anywhere, believe it or not, from Connecticut. And that's because the closer you are, like even Munson, the closer you are, the weaker your signal's usually going to be. Let me see if I could find the Connecticut one, because Connecticut's literally just the next state over from us.
We're actually kind of in Connecticut, almost.
Yeah,
where we live.
pretty much. Newington, Connecticut, right here. +0, -9. Newington is
not that far from us.
No, it's not.
It's like maybe, an hour drive at most?
Yeah, and that's what I mean. The closer you are to your target, the harder it's actually going to be to hit it on 10 meters, and that's why I can't wait to get my general ticket, because once I get my general ticket, you are not ever going to catch me on 10 meters again. Unless it's contesting. I'm always going to be on 20 meters. I'll be on 40 meters. You are not catching me on 10 meters. Also, be happy about this, too. We happen to be studying and practicing amateur radio at a very good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Solar activity is on an 11-year cycle. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 22-year total cycle. So every 11 years,
There's a peak.
There's a peak.
Right.
and we're at that peak. So for the next 11 years, transmissions over the radio are going to get better and better and better.
Yep.
For the next 11 years. So we have time to play with that. And then after this 11 years, everything's going to die, and then you're not going to have 10 meters really anymore. That's apparently what seems to happen.
They'll be able to reach Connecticut more easily.
I won't be able to reach Connecticut at all
Yeah.
because 10 meters just won't exist anymore. Because I guess 10 meters is pretty much 100% driven by solar activity.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
That's why at night, you're lucky if you can hit 10 miles down the road, but in the daytime, you'll hit 7,000 miles out.
Right, right.
What else you got for me?
I think that about wraps up all the main stuff we wanted to talk about. Anything else you wanted to add?
Did you want to talk
Oh,
about?
yeah, the speaker. Right.
Because you're the one who even
Yeah, I suggested
jotted
that.
that.
In the first video that Jay made, he had the optional speaker, and I thought it might be handy to show what having the optional speaker allows you to do exactly.
So would you like me to turn on the optional speaker?
Yes.
Well, I will show you the optional speaker first. I will get you a shot of it. Let me get this out for you. We'll light it up. So this is the speaker that I went with as my optional speaker. It is meant to be stereo. I have it in mono because obviously the radio is only putting out a mono signal. But I have it set up here on the side where you can just hit the power button, and when you hit the power button and you turn your radio up, you hear everything that's going on the radio. And I will find a frequency that might have some activity so that people can hear it. If we can find anything.
We're not liable for anything you're about to hear over random radio.
Yeah, this is legit random radio, so here you go. I wonder if you could get copyright strike
Probably.
for that, but
We'll see.
I don't think there's enough music for that, but there we go. So that's how the speaker works. Now would probably be a good time to get a copyright strike anyway, because we're not monetized.
Yeah, we're not
yet,
monetized.
but
thanks, you guys, we're getting a lot closer.
we absolutely are. YouTube's gonna hate us. YouTube's already like, and they're planning.
Right.
What was the other thing you wrote down on there?
Just thanking everybody.
All right, so that basically concludes this video.
That basically wraps it up.
I hope that you learned the very, very large shortcomings that I still have to work on with my station, but amateur radio is something that's never really done, right? I mean, I've talked to 90-year-olds that got into the hobby when they were 20, and they're still working on their station. So it's just something you never give up on. And I'm trying to get him into the hobby, while at the same time I'm trying to get myself to be a general in this. But I guess the fact that he's trying to get his Part 107 certification for flying drones is a big enough step right now.
Yeah, for sure.
But you guys have a great night. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.
See you later.